Dude, I want to get that drone, but that price range is just kicking my ass right now.
Bro, I know. That's the thing. Gotta be. Oh, what's up with this? Yeah.
I think I did it.
You think you did it? Let's see.
All right.
It's delayed, right?
It is delayed, but we are officially live.
Let's see.
Awesome. Can you see it on your end?
Nope.
I think we're officially live.
Are we? Let me clear my throat. Make sure I got my singing voice. Oh, there we go.
It's good. It's good on your end.
Yeah,
okay.
Let me turn this down.
So this is going to be our first live. This is going to be something I'm going to post up after we're done with it. So
yeah,
even if we don't have that many people, this is our first time doing it and we don't have that many subscribers. So this is going to be like, it's fine if we don't get that much of a following, I think. But I just posted up a video yesterday actually, talking about how I think that or how you can prepare for the 2023 housing market. And I try to make it as simple as possible, because when people click on those videos, they're looking for a hack, right? They're looking for some secret that I think that just like isn't there per se. Like you're not gonna beat the market. The market's just gonna do what it's gonna do. And the best thing you can really do is prepare yourself and as best as you can. You know what I mean? So prepare yourself as best as you can. So when the time is right for you, you're like at any point on the market, height or at the bottom, you can execute. So what do you feel is like best practice for someone who is possibly thinking about purchasing or selling a home in 2023?
About purchasing or selling a home. So I think with purchasing is one thing is, I think in any market with first-time home buyers, it's good for, for first-time home buyers in any market. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. One thing is what they should really look out for is, there's a lot of good deals right now. Obviously talking to an agent and seeing what deals are out there. Everybody wants to get a deal. I get it. Like everybody wants to get that discounted house, that discounted car. Everyone wants to discount everything. But you have to remember, it's a house. So it's not like, hey, it's for sale for $600,000. You're not going to get it for $400,000. I mean, let's be honest. I was in the market. I got into the business in 2005. I went through the whole crash. Houses were discounted, heavily discounted, but we're in a completely different market now. I think them being they can find good deals where prices get reduced, and it's leveraging we've been seeing leveraging them negotiating them to get seller credits to pay closing costs, to buy down their rate. I mean, that's what market we're in. Before, when the market crashed, and I'm using that because that's where a lot of people are using. They're saying, "Oh, the market's going to crash," like how would happen before. It's far from that, but you can get a good deal. You buy down your rate, like I said, buy down your rate. Pay for closing costs, but it's right now people are still selling. Before, people were not really selling, or they're actually foreclosing. It was a long, drawn out process. Houses were taking a year, 2 years, 3 years. Even some were taking 5+ years just to foreclose, and you couldn't even really buy the property because it was so deep in the foreclosure process. But I mean, them getting prepared is just doing all their due diligence with that. Credit, making sure their credit is dialed in. I always let people know, if they're looking to buy a house, within, maybe anytime this year, next 12 months, let's run your credit, check it out. Let's see what issues you have on your credit report. There's many cases where somebody today, we ran their credit and they said their credit was fine. Everything checked out. We run it. They had a collection that just came up this month. They had no idea. It's for $80, a medical collection. It hurt their credit. Not enough where it's, puts them in a different bracket because they had really good credit, but they didn't know about it. So Imagine if you don't have a built up credit, then that can just completely knock you out from purchasing a home. So you got that. And also make sure you have your money dialed in when it comes to savings. You can use your money you save. You can use 401k money. I know some people's 401ks got hit pretty hard, but still you can use that money to buy a property. Also gift, you can get gift from family for down payment, closing costs. I mean, there's a lot of different things. It's just really them preparing themselves and getting everything lined up so they can purchase. Because I think what a majority of people do is they're like, I want to buy a house. And we run their application and we start asking them questions. And, it's more like, hey, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've never heard of that, or I didn't know I can do this. Let's get everything dialed in. And that's where, they can be prepared. So when they put an offer, you submit an offer for them.
Yeah.
It's strong and you can get your property.
Yeah. And I think preparation for this is key because it's a completely different market than what it was back in like 2008, 2009. Right. So that back in those days, it was a situation where anyone could get a loan, where today it's a lot harder. Like you were saying, a little thing like a collection may alter the entire deal. For example, Dean and I just closed on a deal. Was it last week? It was a nightmare of a deal. Where they thought that they were going to get a better deal with a different lender, and it didn't work out because it was structured a different. They just didn't know how to structure it, and Dean was able to figure it out. And I did the math on this specific one, and we got the 2-1 buy down and then some. So my client got in total. So we got about $20,000 off of the purchase price of the property. Then they got another $40,000 for basically the buy down and closing costs and just the additional costs for like essentially to purchase the home, like $40,000. So a total of $60,000, almost $60,000 they received in this market. So it's like super possible for people to get that good deal. But it seems like, because of the higher interest rates, people are kind of reeling back a little bit. But if you get a better price, I mean, the interest rate, of course, you want to make sure that like you can afford it and that it's manageable for you. But at the same time, if there's techniques now that like can forego that. And then, you always want to make sure that you're protecting yourself in the future as well. So either way, you have to be pre-approved for, like, let's say for the 2-1 buy down, you need to be approved for the full rate.
The note rate, right?
Yeah, the note rate, not the 2-1, like the reduced rate, what it is for the first.
That's just your payment. Yeah, that's just your payment. The note rate's what you get qualified on. Yeah.
And that's been a badass program, man. Like the more I learn about it, the better it is.
Yeah.
So like at first I thought it was just a situation where like they get a discount on the first 2 years, right? Then it becomes a situation where no, the seller's actually paying for that discount. Then it's a situation, is it like, let's say a year down the line, they decide they can refinance for a better rate. The remaining amount that the seller paid for is in an escrow account. So they can either pocket the money or whatever it needs to happen. So like it can be used for whatever, even pay for the refi maybe. But it's like, dude, stuff like that with the 2-1 buy down, that thing's badass. And I've been talking to builders because I'm going to be doing some videos on some new construction in the next couple of days, and actually tomorrow. And they have a 2-year program as well, where they're offering a note rate at less than 5% for the first 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
Fully paid for. I mean, you're going to pay the closing costs, and like
they bake it into their price and everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they bake it into everything. But that's what sellers are willing to do right now.
Yeah.
Home builders specifically. So, and it's like that was crazy. I'm seeing a lot of notes on listings themselves that seller is willing to do creative financing, and it's wild, man.
Yeah.
People are doing whatever they can to get homes sold today. And it's funny to see, man, like the shift in power, because I remember submitting offers for properties $50,000 over asking and not getting it.
And that's something where like, so, where you're talking about rates, rates a little higher, which they've come down a little bit. But like if you're, rates that were in the 2s or the 3s, within the last couple of years, a house was $700,000, for example. And there was lines around the corner. There's 30, 40, actually more than that, of people trying to look at the house, but then there'd be 30 offers submitted. And the $700,000 house would end up going for $800,000. So the buyer would have to make up the difference. They're willing to pay 50 to 100K above asking, and you had the lower rate, but then now you're not paying that premium, that you're not paying the $50 to $100,000 above asking. You are getting a higher rate, but now you're actually getting that better price, especially right in this market. And like you said, you get the money for that you could do the 2-1 buy. You could do 1-0 buy down, 1-1 buy down, 2-1 buy down, 3-2-1 buy down. You can do all of them, either one. And then you have the regular buy down. So you can double down. You could do like one we just did. We did the 2-1 buy down. And then also with some money that was left over, we used that money to actually buy down the note rate. So it made sense. And that same house, he would have paid I don't want to lie, 100,000. He probably likely would have paid $50,000 more for that property. So, and he ended up getting
man.
like 30 grand back to pay for his buy down rate. So pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. And I've been thinking about like how I can sell people like sellers on doing the 3-2-1 buy down. That's a tough sell because it's going to be a high number.
Yeah, it's a big number.
It's going to give the buyer such a big break at at that point. I can't wait till it happens, of course, but we'll see what happens. But from the research that I was able to go through, I've been seeing like a lot of the same scenarios. So like 3 scenarios that can happen, and they're pretty obvious, right? So rates stay relatively the same where they're at right now, and prices correct themselves to whatever the rates are, right? To like everything evens out. So rates stay consistent for the next year. With that, we're probably going to see an adjustment in prices. Or the second scenario where just we are already hedging what's been going on, and then interest rates go back down, which would make prices go back up again, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. Like, we'll see. I'm hoping that rates do go down, but then it's going to be another scenario where people are like, it's going to be a frenzy of people wanting to buy houses, because now people are seeing the value of owning a home a lot more. And the third scenario is where interest rates pick right back up, and we see prices just collapse.
Don't say that.
Like, and like that'd be like the worst case scenario. And my ideal situation would be situation one where interest rates stay like relatively the same, and we have kind of a normal market, man. I mean, we see prices maybe drop just a little bit, but sellers either way have like they're winning. If they own a home before 2020, they won, like hands down. Still, like you came out on top either way. You have so much more equity. I mean, even in California specifically, like you gained so much more equity, and you're keeping it even if interest rates pick back up. So I don't think sellers are going to lose any, like, in the long run if they've owned a home prior to 2020. But I'm hoping for the best, man. I'm hoping for the best. Yeah. And the only thing that we can really do is prepare people the best way possible.
So this is what I was thinking the other day regarding sellers. So somebody that's, I don't know if you and I talked about this, could have been somebody else. So somebody that's selling in this market, because, some people, they're like, for example, I plan on staying in my house for a while, so I'm not going to sell. But let's say somebody that wants to sell in this market. Do you think I think it's likely that just from previous years in this industry that someone that wants to sell during like the holiday or the winter season is typically a slower time anyway. Every year I've been in the industry.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are probably usually that need to sell. If someone wants to sell right now, they're probably in a position where they need to sell. Not saying they're desperate, but maybe because there's a job transfer, they got to move out of state,
Yep.
or they put an offer on a new build 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and it was delayed. Like, your typical new construction are usually delayed a little bit, and then now they have to sell their property. So
Yeah.
somebody for a buyer, let's say a buyer, do you think a buyer could potentially get a better deal because of that? But then also, what do you think about the seller? Do you think that's like the seller? Do you think they are losing, or what's your take? What do you think on that?
Year over year, we are still up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're up either I believe I read 8 or 12%. I forget which one. So year over year, we're still up.
Yeah.
Like in regards to what people have gained in equity. So as long as you are able to not discount 8%, you're winning. Like
Yeah, and
you're on top.
That's a big number. I think. I mean, even then, I think a normal market. I think it's a normal market is like 3 to 5%. 3 to 5%. So even, I mean, 8%. Even if you're 5%, you're still good.
Yeah,
right?
you're
I mean,
like discounted
yeah.
3%, and then you gain that 5. I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, homes are staying on the market a little bit longer, but they are selling still. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of patience and education. Like some agents just don't know like how to communicate like to their client on how the market really used to work, because a lot of agents flooded them into the industry because they
Mm-hmm.
saw money, like dollar signs in their eyes, and that's basically a lot of people have been focused on. And it was an easy market. You put something up and it sells.
Yeah.
This, you have to have some finesse, and you have to actually market
You
and
have
do a
to
little
have
bit
some
of work.
skill. Yeah. Same with
Yeah.
loans. I mean, we got flooded with a bunch of people, a bunch of people that got into loans and they're in it just to make a quick buck. I get it. You want to make some money. And then at the same time, we had a lot of like realtors, they get their license. I want to do loans also. And then when they got in, I spoke to a few and they said, "Oh, I didn't realize it was a little harder than I thought." I'm like, "Well, it takes work. I mean, I can't just jump in and become a realtor. I could say, 'Oh, yeah, I could do your job.' But if I really jumped in and started doing your job, I'd be calling you, 'Hey, Danny, how do I do this?' So it takes a lot of work. So a lot of these people that just jumped in, realtors, loan officers, or whatever part of the industry, I'm already seeing them jump out. So like you have to be like you got to be a professional. And not only that, like us, like we're seasoned professionals. And what are we always doing? We're always like our skill level. We just have to up our game all the time. Get better
Exactly.
at
Like
everything. Yeah, get the edge. You need the edge on everything.
everything. And this year was like, this year has been the year that we've invested the most. Like for me personally, I
Yeah.
put more money into education and coaching and like equipment, investing into my business. It's close to, I mean, like new camera, lights, monitors,
Yeah.
laptops, coaching. Coaching is thousands of dollars a month. Um, Programs like Zoom that I'm on right now, like little things, they pile up. I mean, like the expenses are there, but if you're all in, it's different. Like if you have a business mindset, it's completely different. You're investing in your
Mm-hmm.
business rather than just you have a hobby and you wanted to try out selling houses or doing loans. You have to be
Yeah.
like all in and come in with some values. I think that's another thing that people are like not necessarily lacking, but not appreciating as much,
Mm.
because you could see it. You can
Yeah.
see it in like when someone is exuding that. Like I have a buddy that's having a hard time, and he's in a completely different industry. He's having a hard time making sales, And every time we speak, it's more of like, hey, I want to have this much money in my bank account. I'm trying to put it out in the world, and I want to make money, 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 money. Okay, cool. Like, but what are you doing for people? He's like, goes back to like, yeah, man, I just can't wait to have $100,000 in my bank account. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. How are you going to help other people get $100,000 in their bank account?
Yeah.
How are you going to help somebody, or how are you going to provide somebody value for somebody else, and make sure that, you know, it's a win-win situation, not just a win for you and then they pay for it.
Right.
Like, so it's interesting to see that dynamic, and you see it a lot in the industry. So I think that that's what's going to happen in 2023. So like, let's say interest rates do pick back up. The people that are going to win out are the people that have been winning for years, or the people that are planning on winning for years. And those people who are completely committed and have a sense of service. You know, like it's not necessarily going to be a, hey, I'm here to sell my aunt's house because I told her one time during Thanksgiving dinner that I'm selling real estate.
And I'll give her that 1% discount or whatever.
Exactly.
And yeah.
And these are the types of markets that, like, a lot of those like, and no bad, like I'd hate to like feel like I'm shitting on anybody. That's not necessarily it.
No, but that's
just
the reality. I mean,
reality.
that's what's real. I mean, this has happened every year I've been in the industry. Thanksgiving, the holidays, Christmas, you know, just all the holidays, right? You're working on a transaction, and then they call you, hey, my aunt, my uncle, my sister, whoever said they can do, I mean, you just experienced this the other day. I mean, a few weeks ago, they said they can do this, or they could do this better. And without even knowing anything, and after a few
It happened
drinks,
on
people say,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, it happened on
Actually
Thanksgiving.
happened on Thanksgiving.
And that was when that happened. I was like, well, there's the one that usually happens. So, but that happens. And then when they, you know, they don't know the deal. Like, for example, I have family asking me, not all my family uses me for loans or, you know, refinances or anything. You know, they don't all use me, and that's fine. A lot of them have, but not all of them. I have a huge family. But, you know, they asked me some questions and about transactions, and even if it was another loan officer or real estate agent they were using, and I answer their questions, and I never say, hey, I can do your deal. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how many assets they have, you know, real estate, their income. I don't know anything. So usually when they say, hey, my aunt and uncle, whoever said they can do this deal, 9 times out of 10, or probably 10 times out of 10, you know, they can't get it done. Because it's been happening like, hey, we got to do this and that to get your deal done. And then that's when a week later,
It's
hey,
so funny.
my auntie said I can get the deal done. She says she knows how to do it. I'm like, well, good luck. I mean, I'm just giving you all my expertise, and they always come back. Or they'll ask me, hey, how did you do it? I'm like, well, if you want me to do it, you have to come back and I'll get the deal done. I'm not just going to say, here you go, loan officer. This is how I figured out how to get the deal done. And any loan, I know, you know, was it, Josh is probably listening right now, but
he's on right now.
Listen, all right.
How to win friends and influence people. Shout out to Josh.
There we go. So, I mean, it's most of the time, I mean, I've had it where they ask me, well, how can you get it done? I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you how I can get it done. You know, I'm not going to just give everything away. But I was going to say, like Josh would say, all you got to do is look in the guidelines. It's all there. It's all written out. And that's how I get the deals done. They go, how'd you do it? I'm like, it's in the guidelines. I just read it. I just took a little extra more time to read exactly what the guideline said. And I just went by that. And that's how I was able to get the deal done.
Yeah.
So,
and people will probably ask, Josh says everybody always has that aunt. And the ones that's been licensed since 84 and has done 2 deals.
84. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
yep, that's
Josh,
it.
I have one of those. You shut up. I love my tia. No.
Hey, Josh, we might be that guy one day. No.
Oh man. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. All right. So, and this goes back to what you were saying about reading the guidelines. And like for our end, we just got to read the contracts, right? We just got
Mhm.
to go over the contracts, make sure
Ooh,
that one box is clicked. And if it's not clicked, you're fucked.
you lose
You're
lots of money.
and that's exactly what happened to that the agent that on that listing that I was talking, or that purchase that I was talking about.
Yeah.
He missed that we asked for a $20,000 credit, and he had to eat it. He
Oof.
had to simply eat it, and that's
Did
I
he pay
mean,
money out of his pocket, or that was just straight up? That took all his commission,
straight
maybe a couple
commission,
$100. Ouch.
straight commission. I think
Yeah.
he got like a grand or 2 grand. That might have been his broker's cut.
It's like Clark Griswold country, was a Christmas bonus.
Dude, it
Oh,
was.
man.
I no,
Yeah.
and I never wanted to come out as deceitful. It was on the contract.
Yeah. No.
I'm not hiding it. I'm not the person to say like, hey, like, by the way, in this contract that I had signed, and I had docu-signed by like myself, and there's people that do that, man. They make fake documents, and I'm like, no, that's
Mhm.
fake. Like that didn't happen. There was no way that's real.
Yeah.
People do that to try to slide by and try to make things happen, and it's sad to see, but I never want to be that person to be like trying to get like I don't know how best to say it, be like sly or
Yeah.
dishonest in any way.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the
It,
contract. I mean, if you're in the business, if you're a real estate agent or a loan officer, or just
Mhm.
or anybody, escrow, whatever, you need to learn. You have to know how to read a contract, and
Mhm.
and the way the RPA, the California RPA is, it's like it's right there. It's pretty clear. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
black and white. It's right there exactly. Credits, escrow company. This is home warranty. Everything's written out right there.
Yep.
And I mean, it's his bad. He missed it. That does suck, but that's a learning lesson. And I bet you anything he will never make that mistake ever again.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
bet he won't. And like there was a lot of mistakes on that one that were to his detriment. Like he only had a specific timeline because he didn't know a specific contract on how to
Hmm.
do a make it contingent on his client purchasing a house.
Hmm.
So we give him a break, let him write the contract afterwards saying like, hey, I need some time to find a replacement property. But again, that wasn't in his, there was no contract originally. That
Hmm.
wasn't part of our offer or his counter offer or anything like that. It was just a straight, they didn't even counter us. They just said, okay, let's do it, because they knew that the market was going to turn dry.
Yeah.
And a he just approved it and then said, oh, by the way, I need to add this contract. I could have been like, hey, it's there. They need to be out in 30 days.
Yeah. The buyer got a badass house.
It is pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a badass house. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Great
think
area.
that's a lesson even for everybody. Look at the contracts. Even if you're a buyer, seller, read the
Mhm.
contract, see how much, all the details, ask questions.
I'll go line
Um,
by line with my client. Like I'll tell them like, hey, you need to book an hour for us to go through the contract. When we're doing an offer. So this is
mhm,
before we even put an offer. I'll go over the offer with my buyer and
mhm,
say, hey, this is a complete breakdown. You and I are going to sit down and go over this line by line so you can understand what it is that you can do as a buyer and what
yeah,
I can do for you as an agent, and like how we can make this all work together. And it's a matter of like, I know they're not going to remember everything. I
yeah,
wouldn't, but it gives that extra work, and it's going to be again in 2023. It's going to be those people that put in that extra work that are going to win. Those people are going to be the ones that put that extra effort and go above and beyond, that are going to be the ones that are going to be the outliers. That 1%
yeah,
that's going to actually make the majority of the business, instead of the people who are just dipping their toes in the water to make it happen.
yeah. Same with loan officers. It's working. It's this. It's understanding how to structure a deal. Like just recently, there was a loan that was referred over to me, and the buyers wanted their payment to be under a specific number. This is so simple. This is like, in being a loan officer, I don't know how some loan officers just miss this. It's probably just lack of experience, but they wanted their payment to be under a specific number. And they said, hey, this other loan officer couldn't get to that number. Well, if you can get it under that, can you, we'll work with you. I'm like, okay. I talked to him, it was a VA loan, he asked me questions, and I was able to answer all their VA questions. And turns out they're getting a $20,000 seller concession. So a credit to pay their closing costs.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And they gave me screenshots of what the loan officer was doing. I'm like, okay, all right, see what we can do. Our rates are a little lower than that other lender, actually a lot lower than them. So that already brought us lower. So just with that, I'm like, hey, just with our rates that we have right here, I'm able to get your payment under what you want. And they said, well, can you get any lower? So we did the 1-0 buy down. Like, well, I can do this actually it was a 2-1 buy down. We could do this, a 2-1 buy down for a year, or for, the first year, 2%, the next year, the 1% decrease. And I got some of that money from the 20,000 to do the 2-1 buy down. The payment got even lower. And then also I bought down their note rate. So a little bit of that. And then, so 2-1 buy down, bought down the note rate, and also used some of the money to pay some of the closing costs. The payment got real low. And once everything was all said and done, they're really excited. And after the fact, like, hey, how did you end up working that out? Like, I explained to them, but then after the fact, because they were looking at their other comparisons, I was like, it was really simple. I'm like, the other loan officer didn't realize they can use that $20,000 to do buy downs. The other loan officer was just using that $20,000 to pay just their standard closing costs. So they were coming into the property with no money out of pocket. So they were like, oh, we're not going to bring any money out of pocket. But what we did here, they brought in a little bit of money for closing costs, but the rest of it was to buy down their note rate, buy down their do the 2-1 buy down, because for them, they were payment sensitive. They're payment sensitive more than anything. They had a lot of money in savings, but we're payment sensitive. So it worked out. I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of opportunity, and the experience is so big just to be able to structure a deal the right way. I mean, there's other ways too. For example, like, you list the house. They say you're an agent, you list the house. Instead of reducing the price, you say you're going to reduce the price 30 grand. Then talk to the sellers. Just say, hey, instead of reducing it 30 grand, maybe you put some type of incentive when anyone submits an offer. Say, instead of reducing the price 30 grand, the buyer or the sellers, they're okay with getting that amount reduced. Then to give someone incentive to buy, you just give that 30 grand back as a seller concession, depending on the price of the deal. We're in California, so our prices are a lot higher. So giving that money back for the buyer to incentivize them to buy, because something like that, I mean, you're reducing the price, right? You're saying a $700,000 house, and instead of reducing to 670, it's still going to sell at 700. So although they're selling it to the buyer for 670, there's a $30,000 concession. When it's sold, the contract's at 700 grand. So when you sell the property, you sell at list price. So it's listed at 700, property sold at list price. You can market it saying that you sold it at 700,000, no reduction. So when you're marketing yourself, to say, hey, the properties that I list, they don't get, they sell at the list price, which, there's details in there obviously, and that's how, you can structure your transactions, but that can help you get more listings, because instead of just reducing the price, like you see, like Opendoor, for example, like they have these price reductions, like $30-some thousand, and they're only paying the buyer's agent 1.75 commission. That's crazy. The seller's getting screwed. They think they're getting a good deal, but really their house is just sitting on the market.
Yeah, I had a potential client that had the opportunity to do something like that. They signed with Opendoor, but Opendoor essentially backed out of the deal, even though they already signed for everything. So they tried to back out of the deal, but they couldn't. So there was like kind of a battle with that, and they ended up just deciding on not selling. They were coming from, they actually found us on YouTube, and they were coming from New Jersey. And it was a situation where they couldn't let go of they needed to sell their property in order to purchase a new one out here in Valencia. And yeah, man, they just couldn't get the property sold. They had it up there for like 6 months. 6 months.
Wow.
And that's why companies like Open Door, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, I don't think Trulia too much, but that's why Zillow lost over $1 billion, like $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
And they laid off everybody. And it's just a matter, and that tells you what it means for the difference between an algorithm and actually somebody who knows what they're doing. I posted a video, I think today, talking about like just pictures, like pictures telling a story, right? Like, if you have somebody who's just going in to do a job, like whoever Zillow hired to do the photography for some of their listings, they look like washed out, bland, and they don't look stylized. They don't tell a story. They just like, hey, kitchen, room, hallway,
And
back there. Like it's
you could
like,
do better with your iPhone. You could have a better picture with your iPhone. Yeah.
Straight up. And it was hard to see even during the pandemic. I went to go see some with a client, and there was a line of people to go see it, but then the next weekend I saw it. Even at the height of the pandemic, they were still losing out on money. It was ridiculous, man.
I think
Open Door is about to be closed the door, Josh says.
Yeah, right.
All in her movements, finally a little bit of relief in LA market. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot slower right now. I'm hoping some houses I see now will be available and a little bit cheaper in May when my lease is up and I can buy. You know what? May is starting to be the summer time frame. So that's usually when it is kind of the warmest when it comes to real estate. So I would say start looking like late March, like seriously looking late March, early April, because escrow is going to be 30 days anyway. So if you can coordinate it in a way so that you can find a property, put an offer on it, and then have escrow go for a longer time period, maybe 45 days or something like that for closing, I'm sure a seller is going to be willing to do that.
Right.
That would be more advantageous than you looking in May and going month to month and continuously looking, because you're going to have a lot of choices. It's going to be hard for you to pick. Start looking in late March, early April, and you should be good to go, and you should be able to find something. Let me know if you need any help. Alex does all of my pre-approvals. He's the only person that I trust with any of my VA loans, and my VA loans are my babies. So let us know if you need help with that purchase or getting pre-approved and in getting you ready for March and April. But yeah, and that's just a historically really just a hot time frame for real estate, and I think it's still going to be pretty warm like during that time frame. I think interest rates are going to stay pretty consistent. I know that we were hearing, like you were hearing, little rumors that interest rates are going to go back down, but we've seen these higher interest rates for a while now. So I don't know. I'm a little skeptical with.
I think we're going to hover around kind of where we're at. Expect that we might see small drops. We're not going to see big, as fast as they went up, but we're not going to see them go down like that. We'll see small drops. I mean, it's, just reading some things, and looks like, let's say the end of the year, let's say the last quarter of the year. I mean, it's possible we might be at like pre-pandemic interest rates, which is still pretty low.
4 or 5s. Yeah,
still pretty low. It just, we're spoiled when we see these rates in the 2s and 3s. And I remember we did somebody, they had a 15-year or 10-year, I can't remember. We got them at like 1.75%. It was insane.
Man,
but
I thought I got lucky with 2.25, man.
Yeah, I think it was like a 10-year, but that was crazy. I never done a loan that was the only loan I've done at that rate. But
wow,
I think we might see like pre-pandemic rates. But again, with the pandemic, when all that happened, we didn't expect that. Not saying something like that's going to happen again, but you never know. Just things that happen in the world that affect our economies. Yeah, we're going into, we have inflation, but that's, it's hard to predict. We can't predict the future, but just based off, historical, and we just go based off historical numbers, and that's how we're able to kind of figure it out. For me personally, like, I tell you, I don't like watching the news at all. The only thing I follow is, the bond market. I see where that's going, and then also
Because that
mortgage-backed
affects the interest
securities.
rate. Like
Yeah.
it's part of your job. Like, you
Yeah,
have
I
to-
watch the mortgage-backed securities, and then the bond market. I pay attention to that, but all the other news stuff, I don't like to pay attention to it, because what does just gets a bunch of just BS in your head. I just focus on my line of work, and I do the best I can. And it's not like when rates go up or down, it's not like it's a big surprise. I mean, sometimes when you see rates go down multiple times or up or down in a day, that's a surprise. But
yeah.
before rates go up, I kind of have an idea they're going to go up, and go down, the same thing. But what's going to happen now? There was an article, I was going to do a video about that. There's an article talking about how Wall Street has billions of dollars, $110 billion, that they plan on doing they're going to basically be doing a buying spree. I'm looking at it right now. This, it's estimated by 2030, Wall Street will control up to 40% of single family market. Right now, they only have about 3%. So by 2030, I mean, that seems like a while away, but that's only 8 years or 7 years now. That's quick.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things can change, but they're putting all this money together. Well, they have this money together to buy single family homes. So if somebody is looking to buy a house and you're waiting, you're just going to wait even longer, because even how we're just talking about earlier on the call, appreciation. Let's say we go to homes appreciate just a normalized market, 3 to 5%. So if somebody doesn't want to buy right now, I'm not saying, hey, this is people that are ready to buy. That it's somebody, if you're not in a spot where you can buy at all, then I get it. It takes time. It takes time to get to that point to save money. But, there's ways to get, like we were saying, 401k, gift money to buy a property. But if you're in a position where you can buy a house and you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to wait till the market crashes, I'm going to buy a house. Well, let's say you don't, because you've probably been saying that the last couple of years. Let's say you don't buy in January, February, March, and now it's December 2023. The house you wanted to get for $500,000, now it's $525,000 or $515,000. Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not that much more than it was at the beginning of the year, but it's more than you would have paid at the beginning of the year. You lost that appreciation. So now you got to pay more. You got to pay a slightly higher down payment. And now you lost that, 3 to 5% appreciation. So even if it's normal market, then you're losing that. Or let's say, hey, they bought a house now, and the house goes down 10%, and the market goes down 10%. Now your house for $500K is worth, $450K. You're like, oh man, Danny and Alex they were wrong. They lied to me. I bought the house. Now it's down 50 grand. You guys suck, right? I'll just say, hey, hold on to the property. And this is my personal experience. Hold on to the property, because real estate's long-term. So if you plan on living on the house for 6 months to a year, don't freaking buy. Don't buy. But if you want to live there for 5 years, 10 years, maybe, build a family, or you just want to stay put, you're going to win 100%.
Yep.
The properties I own have more than doubled in price. And when I bought each one, they thought they were like, oh no, Mark's going to tank. It's going to tank.
Yeah. It's been predicted to tank since like 2015 or something like that.
Yes, and it's gone down. Sometimes it's gone down on the property values, they've gone down a little bit, but when I look back and I look at it now, long-term investment. And if I hold those properties another 10 years, which I plan on not selling these, because these are going to be cash flow properties in the future, or bigger cash flow, I mean, you're always going to win. So even if they say, screw off, Danny and Alex, you guys lie to me, house went down. then just stay put. Wait, it's going to
Yeah.
go up, and 5 years, 10 years, you're going to be like, hey, Danny, Alex, thank you. Now my house is worth $900,000 that I bought for 500. You're like, you're welcome.
And this is a note for the people that are trying to time the market and really take advantage of the better interest rates, waiting for better interest rates. Okay. One, like timing the market is always a losing game. We said that earlier, but the interest rate on renting a place is 100%. I forget where we heard that, but renting a place is 100% interest rate. You're paying someone else's mortgage. So why not pay your own mortgage, pay yourself, pay down that loan, and just deal with a 7%, deal with an 8%. It's not that big of a difference. Like you want to make sure that you're doing something that you can afford. Yes, maybe you'll have to live in a smaller place or in an area that you don't prefer. Stay safe, stay conscious of what your priorities are. And I mean, don't kill yourself for it. That's not the point. And it'll happen. You'll gain that equity. You'll go from that apartment to that single family home to eventually whatever other property that you guys are really looking to move towards. I mean, for example, Gago, like I helped him purchase his house in mid 2020. I think it's April 2020. Mm-hmm. And in that time frame, they gained. I mean, we sold their house in, I think, October, somewhere along those lines. In October, we listed it for 5 days, and it sold after 5 days in the toughest market imaginable.
Toughest market imaginable.
Yeah. And they gained like I forget what it was, like $60,000 or $80,000, and they didn't even use that money.
No.
For their new home because he's VA. So he used that money, and he was telling me like he didn't like the tree that was in front of the house. Took that down. He built a gazebo outside of the house because the original one was dry rot. They said knock it down. We'll build another one.
That's cool.
So he's just using all that money for the renovations for the house that he already liked. So it's just now it's just an added thing. They have a baby boy on the way, so it's like he was aggressive with it. He in less than 2 years, like a little bit over a year, he gained $80,000, $60,000, I forget. And then he went into a home that it's going to last him years to come.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be perfect for him and his wife. Like they're going to be perfectly fine.
Another thing, so is how with these I guess these predictions how market's going to crash or whatever, they're saying how the prices are going to go down, is also the market you're in too. Because if you're in a market where because not all markets going to be impacted, like some markets might go down like 15%, who knows? Maybe more. But then there's a lot of markets that are desirable that they won't go down, they're going to go up. Like the area where we're in, Simi Valley, it's a pocket where the houses are relatively affordable. So like if an $800,000, I think that what's the average price here? I think like 850,000 or something like that.
In Simi?
Yeah,
about 850.
About 850. So a house that's 850,000, you just go down over the hill in the San Fernando Valley. I mean, it's probably going to be close to $1 million.
Yeah,
and then that's only
single family home though.
Single family home.
A single family home. And in Santa Clarita, I think the average single family home or the average sales price out here is $785, but in Valencia specifically, where people tend to like gravitate to Valencia, it's $825, and that's much much less than what it is in the Valley. Like you're not gonna get a awesome house. Like put it this way, that family that I was mentioning. That we just closed on, we bought something at $830,000. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2.5 bath, with a pool, a view, and I think it had like a 20,000 square foot lot.
Sign me up. That's
830,000 over 2,000 square foot house. but the houses that we were seeing in the valley were, I think, 1,200 square feet for 825,000.
And 20 to 30 years older too, the
Oh
houses.
yeah,
Yeah.
way older, way older.
Yeah.
Josh is over here trolling. He's saying waiting for rates to come down before buying a house is like choosing to walk until gas prices go down.
Hey man, they'll get back down to 85 cents one day. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna. So I've been walking to work like the last like 15 years because I'm waiting for gas prices to get back down to 85 cents. It's true.
All right, and all in her movement. Sorry, I don't know your name. It doesn't come up. It says I'm new to LA County, and it's amazing to me if that if I buy a house at 1.2, it'll appreciate at all ever. Is there room for it to go up? Yes, historically it will go up. If, for example, at the height of the crash, I'm sure Alex, you could see like of the 2006 2007 range, we're well above those price ranges at this point. For
Yeah.
in specific markets, you got to keep into account like some markets have depreciated. Every market's a little bit different, so you kind of want to be diligent with the area that you pick.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking in an area that has no room for growth, doesn't have any vision for growth, or it's been just a downhill, like it's just been going downhill the last couple of years, you want to avoid those areas. You want to go into somewhere that has the ability for that growth. Like for example, I purchased a fourplex in Inglewood, and it has a lot of growth because they have the stadium there. And I bought that in 2020, late August 2020, and I bought it 860, and it appraised for 865. And we like right now it'll probably go for well above 9, if not over
A million. Yeah. Because just the I think that'd probably go over a million because it's a multi-unit in LA.
Yeah.
That's near the stadium. Yeah, definitely.
So you need to be very picky with the areas that you choose. Granted, affordability is a factor, and you want to make sure you staying relatively close to work and things like that. But we can discuss it. My links are in the description of this video. If not on my profile, just subscribe and I'll get you hooked up. We'll figure something out for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of, they're saying the desirable areas. There's different areas that people want to live, and especially with the pandemic, everything that happened is a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people that went back to work now, but a lot of companies restructured their whole organization where people, they work from home now. So now people, they don't have to live. Like for example, let's say you could afford a $1 million house in LA or Ventura County, but you don't have to live. You're like, I'm working from home, but I want to live maybe further away. I want to live in like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a area a little further away that has lower costs. Palmdale, for example, that's a little further. Yeah. But I'm just trying to think that direction, because that area is actually developing. But let's say you bought $1 million house over there. I mean, you get your house freaking dialed in, everything you ever wanted there. And because you're working from home, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's different. People are moving in different areas now. They're more open. They're not just stuck to like, hey, LA, Ventura County. They're willing to go further out. But yeah, you have to be. So areas that weren't desirable before are desirable now because people are moving further. They're okay moving further out because they don't have to commute to work. But yeah, I mean, appreciation, I don't know who asked that question. Over time, like we said a little bit ago, hold on to the property, and in the long term, you will gain 100%. I have family that have owned real estate for a long time, and the ones that bought 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever, those properties have appreciated over time, and they're worth a ton of money now. Even property I got in 13 and property one in 2010. I mean, one is in Montebello, and it's not an ideal area, but I mean, it's right outside, really busy area of East LA. And it's, if you know LA, the parts that people did not want to live in before, what is it like around MacArthur Park, Echo Park, Silver Lake? People did not want to live there. When I was a kid, like, oh, you don't want to live there. But now what's going on there, Danny? I mean, properties are skyrocketed like crazy. Everybody wants to live there. I mean, you get a house that's built 1920, that's 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I mean, it's selling for $1 million. So that's why an area right outside of there, like Montebello, they're moving there. So the property value went up a lot and rents are really high too. So that place is still developing and it's getting busier and busier. I know having the property another 10, 15 years, it's going to appreciate a ton, but the biggest thing is the cash flow on that.
Yeah,
and
no,
here,
and
yeah,
that's another point too. Like let's say the property does stay at the 1.1, $1.2 million mark, right? Have you ever seen rent go low? Like, have you ever seen rents drop? I have never seen an area where rents go down.
no,
And if anything, if you're not able to retain the value of the property, or it's just worth less in the future, something happens and, you know, God forbid, like the property values go down, rents typically don't go down.
yep,
And you'll probably recoup the costs with the cash flow that comes in with the property. Again, that's highly doubtful that you won't retain a good amount of value in that time frame. But worst case scenario, like it'll more than likely rent for something that will cover the cost of the mortgage, whatever it may be.
yeah, rents like around here, for example, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $3,200 a month. A house 4 to 5-bedroom, that's probably like what, 1.2 million. That'll rent probably close to $6,000 a month.
Yep.
So it gives you an idea. Rents are just always going up. Only during the time when the market crashed, there was some issues with like rent being paid because people were not paying rent.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, that was issue. And the first thing that typically people let go is an investment property or a property that they had no skin in the game. They put zero money down. They went 100% financing. They had terrible credit and they went stated income, right? So if they didn't have skin in the game, that's why these properties, you know, they foreclosed when that's why the market crashed, is because people couldn't afford it. And the qualifications was insane. I mean, you can have a credit score of 600 and you can purchase a property back then for 100% financing on a 2-year fixed, 28-year adjustable. Those rates were like in the 5s, and you're paying a ton of points. Every deal was like 2 points on the deal. People are paying a lot of money, and on top of that, they'd refinance a property. It was monopoly money. A lot of things changed. People have to qualify. There's guidelines in place. So, the fact that people are saying that market's, you know, it's going to drop that much, there's no chance. And also, this is what I've been saying too, is the fact that everyone's talking about it, people that are not even in the industry saying, oh, the market's going to crash, I'm seeing this, the price is going to drop 20%, 15%, or whatever it is. The fact that they know already tells me that's not going to happen. That's, you know, that's severe. We might see a drop, but the fact that you know already, you know, you got to think about it. What do you think? You know, what do you think is really going to go on? And that's when you read the articles that Wall Street has $110 billion ready to buy single family homes, because they're scaring the shit out of you, so you can wait up, not buy, or sell your property, and they're going to swoop in. They buy the property, and guess what? You need a place to live. And like what Danny was saying, you're saying rent's up. Oh man, I got to rent this property now. I was able to buy this 2 years ago, but I didn't, so now I'm renting it. And you're SOL, man. So
Yeah.
a lot of interesting things going on.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thanks
Yeah.
so much, man. I'll see you soon, probably Friday. And
Okay.
all right. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for watching. Much appreciated. And let's get consistent with this, man. Let's
Yeah, it's
keep
cool.
this
It's
going.
fun.
This was fun.